Spooky Tuesday.
Are you saying that we can't stop this?
You were supposed to die on that bridge. You're not supposed to be here. You're shorted death. So you let death have somebody else in your place, and then you take their spot in the realm of the living, all the days and years that they've yet to live. And they take your place in death. Then the books are balanced.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week we have with us my child.
Wow.
I know.
What an honor to be granted that position.
An honor.
That's
Can you believe
really
that
huge.
I am old enough to have a 22-year-old child? Can you believe?
I can't. I can't
I don't
believe
want to
it.
think about
Thank
believing
you.
that.
Thank
So
Okay. This is Spencer. Spencer, say hi to everybody.
Hey guys, I'm Spencer. I'm not really 22. I'm 9, and they allow me to watch horror movies and rated R comedies. And I'm terrified, and my school teacher doesn't know what to say to me anymore.
He's
Oh my
got no
God.
bedtime, folks. He's staying up late.
Here's the
But I
thing.
do
Just like
take a
my
little nappy.
cousins when
do
I
take
was
nappies.
little. They could watch all the scary movies and I wasn't allowed to. You're so cool for a 9-year-old. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, dude, wait till you see my Pokemon card collection.
Oh shit. Actually, though, how old are you? Are you 22?
I'm 22.
Okay.
I'm 22.
Cool. Just so the listeners, because that was very believable, and the Pokemon
Great
reference,
prank.
like
Yeah,
it was
really
like
pulled
a
it
great
off.
prank.
Gotcha.
We
I
love
gotcha.
pranks on Spooky Tuesday.
Yeah, it's clear that you're a listener because prank queen Chelsea here is a big prankster here on the pod. We haven't had a prank in a while, Chelsea. Maybe in season 3
I like to
you'll
keep
bring
it spicy,
some back
keep everybody
in.
on their toes.
Well, if you're
If I
expecting
do
the
it all
prank,
the
it's not a
time, you're
prank.
like, exactly. I gotta
It's so
sneak them
true.
in.
It's so true. Too true. Well, we're really excited to have you on the pod. It's so amazing to know that Sydney has adopted a child and she's just telling us now.
you,
But
thank you.
congratulations to both of you.
Cool, mom.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But this is a very, very special episode. It's an emotional episode. I mean, we've just announced a child. But besides that emotion, there's more. It's the end of many things. It's actually some would say the final destination for many aspects of our life. One of which is Final Destination Summer. We finally reached the end of it, and I just don't know if I can let go.
I mean,
But
we're gonna
also-
have to let go because then we're going into spooky fall.
That's true. That's true. All great things must come to an end, including season 2 of Spooky Tuesday. This is our season finale episode, and I know it's grandiose. You're horrified. What will we do without you for only 1 week? Because we'll be back next week with season 3.
You'll just have the regular 6 days off. I think you'll manage, but think of us constantly.
It's a season break.
Yeah, it's a season break.
week
We're
is a week.
gonna rest during that time. So,
Exactly.
you know.
Oh,
totally.
we will be definitely resting during that
We'll be-
time.
we'll
We've
be
been front
incredibly
loading
rested.
episodes, recording at breakneck pace, so that
You
we have a little
literally-
rest.
You as a listener have no idea the stress we've been under, but to you, it'll only be a week. So don't worry. Everything's
To you,
fine.
we're time traveling. We're coming to you from the past.
We would never
don't-
leave y'all hanging.
No, we're not even doing that little fun bonus episode thing that we did last year. No, immediately into season 3, no breaks. But anyway, Final Destination 5 is the perfect season finale and the perfect end of the Final Destination series. I mean, as of 2011, we all know that Final Destination 6 is coming at some point in the future. But in case you haven't seen it, 1, stop listening right fucking now and go watch it. Literally, like, I don't want to spoil this for anyone because I didn't get spoiled. And if I spoil it for you, this will be my Final Destination. And that I'm very serious. So that's the first thing. Pause if you haven't watched it. But okay, also here's the IMDb description. Death returns to claim the lucky survivors of a deadly bridge collapse in this 5th frightening installment of the series. I like that. It's
Nice.
nice.
That felt like
It's the
poetry.
same.
I'm snapping.
I know, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, we do this. We start off the same way every time. Who had seen this movie before? Tell us your feelings.
My hand is up. I
Oh,
watched
go.
it in high school.
Mhm.
I was sheltered as a child. I had very strict parents, could not watch a lot of scary movies, so I had to sneak around to watch them. And
Nice.
my friends in high school and I, we all would go out to, we called it the farm. It was some guy's hunting cabin. And, you know, everyone,
Scary?
yeah, it was scary. And so we were broke. So we went to Walmart to find a movie in like the $5 bin. And we got 5 Final Destination movies for the price of $5.
Wow.
We
That's a
watched them
steal.
all in one night, and I've been
Oh my
scared
God.
of a lot of things ever since. A lot
All
of
in
things.
one night. Oh my God. Okay,
That's
so
a
you did a speed
traumatizing
run
evening.
through the franchise. We've stretched it out this summer. I think that's been a really good pace. What was it like watching them all back to back?
You're scared of everything. You know,
Your anxiety levels must have been so high for so long.
for the listeners that haven't listened to 1 through 4, log trucks, terrifying. Roller coasters, terrifying. Going to the gym with swords above you, terrifying. SpongeBob
sword
style
gyms.
motors, terrifying. I'm scared. I don't leave my
NASCAR.
house. I'm a bubble boy. I live in a bubble.
NASCAR terrifying. And you're in the South, so presumably that is more present for you than it is for me.
You can ask my mother, Sydney. I was actually born at a NASCAR race.
He was. Dega baby.
Oh my God. I mean, I could not have handled that at all, seeing them all in one sitting. I was saying to the girls earlier in the summer, like after the first one, I needed a month to recover to get ready for the second one. And like, here's a little intel into how many episodes we've recorded. We recorded Final Destination 4 just last week, and it was a little soon for me to see Final Destination 5 the week after. I had never seen this movie before. I did that thing which no one should ever do, which is watch a kill compilation of all the kills from Final Destination. And so I had seen several of the deaths in this and wasn't sure if I'd actually seen the movie, but I hadn't seen it. I'm really happy because it's much better as a succinct whole. But I will say that I think I was the most freaked out for this one compared to all the rest of them. I was losing my absolute shit watching this last night. I could not handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into the deaths too fast, but like the gymnastics death scene, I think is the
Absolutely
most
fuck that.
like
Absolutely
on
fuck
the
that.
edge of your seat, hiding behind your eyes death in the whole franchise. Like there are so many things that are set up that you're like anxious waiting for something to happen in that scene, and like they're all sort of relevant, but it just goes completely off the rails.
I left the
And
room.
yeah,
during that one.
it's painful. It's painful to watch. Whenever they do like a nail sticking out of the floor kind of thing in a horror movie, it is like the absolute worst thing I can ever imagine. Like A Quiet Place does the same thing, and it is just so terrible.
Because then
It's
you
so
feel it while
terrible.
you're walking too,
Yes,
right?
your
It's-
feet hurt.
It's like you got a splinter under there. Like you're just scared.
Yeah. Well, guess what, babes? I have a fucking needle phobia. So how do you think I felt?
Ooh.
How do you think I felt during this movie? In the most benign rom-com, and someone goes to the doctor and they get a shot. I'm like, I have to cover my eyes because I cannot see a needle go into skin. I can receive shots, but I just can't look at it. This movie has all my triggers that I didn't know I had. Bridges are terrifying.
Bridges are terrifying. Also, the eye scene, like I can't even watch people put contacts in and out. And so this one, I had to fast forward. I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot
my
do
God.
this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's
the-
really rough.
My friends at the time found out that I really was uncomfortable around eyes. And so all of the ones with contacts would come up to me and just poke themselves in the eyes to fuck with me.
Ew.
Oh my God.
me
What's
tell you,
wrong with them?
that's
Sydney,
not
They're
yell
cool.
at
not-
those children. Sydney,
You're gonna
he
get
needs
pink
new
eye.
friends.
Mom, I'm
okay.
getting bullied.
It's okay. We'll deal with them.
Okay, well, another thing about this movie that I didn't know, but it was very apparent. after the opening credits. Again, Final Destination 5, it was a 3D movie. Love it. I love that they're like,
Yes.
you know what? Final Destination 4 kind of sucked. But you know what didn't suck about it? 3D. We got to keep it 3D. If we go back to 2D, we're not up in the ante. We're bringing it down. We got to make it more in your face. But I feel like it seemed less like 3D gimmicky for me for this
Yeah,
one
for
comparatively
sure.
to the fourth one.
I
Like,
mean,
I
they
didn't
had
really notice anything except for like, okay, I just remembered one. Never mind. I will shut up. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. Well, it's mainly, I think this is what you're thinking of, but the sailboat and then the ending credits, I think, are what really drives it home.
and
but
the
they
opening
had-
credits.
Yeah, they had some time, I would imagine, after FD4, the not so final destination. I think to see like how it did on home video, which was a thing back in the day before streaming services where you can't like really track how much people are watching it as much. But so I think they must have seen like maybe it wasn't as received as well on DVD sales at Walmart, unlike Spencer's experience. Like maybe it just didn't get the same reception, and so they were like, okay, doing it so gimmicky means that we're like hurting ourselves on the back end, which is where so much of money is made for movies after the fact. So I wonder if that like factored in, and then they did it where it didn't really matter in terms of like storytelling and like viewer experience, because I've never seen this movie in 3D. I've only ever seen it in regular 2D.
I would literally die to somehow see this in 3D. Does anyone do 3D anymore? I want to do 3D. How do I do 3D?
I had the weird paper glasses, but it was still 2D.
Too
That's
bad.
bullshit.
There was like a movement for a while where they were trying to sell TVs that were like 3D capable for people's
Yeah.
homes, but
It
I
was
don't
like-
think it
remember that.
took off because everybody was like, why would I do that?
Because you want to be like, whoa, in your own home, you know?
Well,
Like,
it was like
oh
the
shit, I
gimmick
thought I was
before
gonna get hit in
OLED,
the
right?
face.
Like that was the
What'd you
big
say, sorry?
gimmick.
Oh, 3D?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3D.
Oh yeah. It was just a way to upsell tickets for sure.
Yeah, like 2008 to 15. It was like you couldn't watch a movie without 3D.
And it was fun
That's
seeing
true.
all those like Pixar movies in 3D where it just made the experience like a little richer, but you knew that it would be like still very watchable on 2D after the fact. But I don't know.
Yeah. I now that I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing more of where those moments happen. But let's get into the beginning of this movie because I've this like opening sequence like slaps so hard. Like I was not expecting it to slap this hard because I thought I'd seen the best of the best. But this one is like in the run for the money for the best opening scene. The little prequel is a little hilarious. I do like that this setup is coworkers because they haven't done that before. And
Mhm.
damn, that really adds some interesting social layers to it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like
I'm
yeah,
confused a little bit though. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
what? So the main guy is Sam, right?
Uh-huh.
Is he an intern? But he's
No.
also a chef?
He's-
Like, because
He's
they're a
he
got
paper
works
so
company.
much
nights.
stamina. He
He
just has
works
a
for
lot
the
of
paper
energy.
company as a sales associate because he does. I don't know. He's hustling, and then his real passion is cooking and being a chef.
My
Also
man
at
has
night,
two
works
jobs.
Two jobs.
He
And you
Okay.
should
works-
respect
yeah.
him for that.
He's a single
must
mom who works
have-
2 jobs, who loves his kids and never stops.
Here's the thing with the rise of, or with more people becoming aware that they are into dirty line cooks again, thanks to the bear.
Uh-huh.
Still haven't seen it.
Great social timing for this to happen for us.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I
hot that he
think,
can cook. He makes a waffle breakfast for everyone. He's the greatest coworker ever. He's terrible at selling paper, but he's a wonderful man. Okay.
You're not gonna fire the guy that brings fresh hotcakes to work every day. He's got
No.
job security.
That's
He's
true.
very smart. He's very smart. He's buttering them up literally.
I mean, what's that like to live deliciously? It's like, who would say no, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. They set up a lot of like really fucked up social dynamics within the office place though right away. Like, don't we love that Peter is dating a
An intern. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's cool. And
The
I
intern is
also
slut shaming the full-time employees.
Right.
The full-time employees are getting a little
the
nude
little
at work.
nude.
Well,
Yeah.
the intern's not career focused, is what I'm really learning from this. She's thinking too short term. Like this isn't sustainable for growth in the company. Like,
She's passionate about gymnastics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I hate to spoil a little bit, but she's not great at gymnastics.
Oh,
She's
well,
not bad
okay.
at gym. There was a
She
lot
could-
of other
There was
factors
a lot
at
of stuff
play.
going on, but I don't know a lot about gymnastics, so I found her to be insufferable throughout, but
Poor
still.
Candace.
Poor
I think
Candace.
with the main core kind of 4 characters, though, they were better than a lot of them, though, than a lot of the movies.
Yeah, I mean, I liked this cast a lot more than the previous cast. I thought they were better, like FD4 or The Final Destination. I think that, yeah, I thought that I cared about them a little bit more. They were better at acting. I think they're like their love, like Sam and Molly. I was rooting for them. Okay, it wasn't as single level. Shallow, that's another way to say it. Some of the other characters.
I didn't like Sam and Molly. I don't know, but Peter, I was very invested in Peter.
I'm Team
And
Peter.
Eyebrows.
And Olivia,
Team Peter.
she
I'm
was
Team
great.
Peter.
Olivia was
We'll
the
get
hottest
there.
person ever, and her real name is Jacqueline. Hold on.
That's a hot name.
Meckins.
That is a hot name.
Meckinswood. Jacqueline Meckinswood. It's 2 different last names. I have no idea how to say the middle one. I'm sorry. She has been on The Bold and the Beautiful for like 30 years.
Good for her.
Yeah. 1990 through 2022. 2022. I know how to say years.
Uh-huh.
Sweet God. How old is she? Was she born on The Bold and the Beautiful? She might have been born on The Bold and the Beautiful, just like how you were born at Daytona.
I mean,
Or
it
Dega.
builds character.
Talladega.
There you go.
Dega. I'm sorry, I
the
said the wrong
thing.
D word.
The only person in this movie, quite frankly, is Tony Todd.
Tony
He's back,
Todd.
baby.
Word.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah, he's
God.
more present in this movie than any other movie except maybe the first one. Like he has that one scene in FD2, but he really gets more opportunities to shine here than pretty much any other one so far.
Well, they like
That's the-
sneak him in too, because like you don't really get Tony Todd until later on in the movie after you've seen him a couple times.
Yeah,
Like, they-
he's got like that
build you up.
sexy monologue too. Oh my God. Well, okay. I'm not gonna say it now because we're gonna get to it later. All right. Do you want to talk about the opening death scene, the premonition death? Because it
Well-
was so cool.
Yes, but just before that, I do think what you were saying about like caring about this cast of characters as opposed to some of the other ones, I think they really benefit when you get to spend like a few minutes with them before the opening
Yes.
disaster.
Totally.
And we got that a little bit in the first one with like the kids all hanging out at the airport and stuff. And we got that a little bit in the third one with them all like at senior night at the amusement park. But I think
Totally.
that's something that like FD4 and FD2 are really missing is you don't get as much time with especially FD2 because like you see
FD2 you
what's her
kind of
face?
couldn't have
Yeah,
because they
because they
weren't
don't
all
even
friends
introduce them.
before.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're all strangers to each other. So
But so you get like these interpersonal conflicts already where you're like picking sides and investing and like seeing people's motivations, etc. I think it just gives you more of an opportunity. But I also think with this one, like with Isaac, they give you a lot of people to hate too, where you're kind of like waiting for them to die the whole time, waiting for
Oh,
it to be
man.
their turn.
Who is he
Isaac?
calling? Who is he calling?
Amber, maybe Courtney was also a name.
Ah!
he
Hate
must
He's got
be
ladies. He's got
incredible in bed.
bitches.
He's got to
He's
be incredible in
got
bed because
bitches.
he's absolutely a scumbag and he's such an asshole to everyone. He must have something magical going
Well,
on that we
as a-
don't see.
From the male perspective, I'll tell you what's magical about him. Later on in the movie, you see him in the full Kill Bill suit, yellow, like jumper thing. He's got the Kill Bill suit, and really, if you've got the Kill Bill suit, that's all you need.
Yes, that's
All
what
right.
really gets the women going. The Kill Bill
That's what we
suit.
love. And he works in IT, so can help with any of your computer problems you might be having.
He
Which is
has
nice.
the Joshua Jackson in urban legend things where he definitely has a big dick.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we all here think that the characters were more developed in this movie, Roger Ebert did I say his name right? I always like smash the two names together. I'm not looking at it. Roger Ebert. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He had a fucking hilariously scathing review of this movie. It was so
Classic.
funny. It was awesome. Like it was
He's such
awesomely
a
funny.
hater.
He's such a hater. I mean, it was like kind of nice, like a little bit, but mean. And this is what he said at the beginning. FD5 shows a lot of ingenuity. The recurring theme this time will be skewering, and lots of it. The characters have names, but they might as well have been called after items for a shish kebab: lamb, chicken, mushrooms, onions, tomatoes, some nice peppers. I like to use green, red, and yellow.
It just turns into a recipe blog.
Right.
It just killed me so much. He was like, yeah, you might as well call them lamb and chicken because that's how interchangeable they are. They're all just going to get skewered in the end. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, man. Oh my God, there's more, but I won't read the rest of it. But I linked it in the references. Read the whole thing. You're really going to like it. But anyway, let's get into the opening thing here, the premonition. They learned a lot from what worked and what didn't work in the previous ones to create the, some would say, perfect opening scene here. In a lot of articles that I read, people were like having a toss up, like, is FD2 the greatest opening scene, or is this one the greatest opening scene? And so it's hard for me because this FD2, we know there's a lot of practical effects in it, in that movie in general. But I wasn't so mad by the CGI in this opening scene because it was fucking expansive and insane. Like seeing that whole bridge swaying, I was freaking out.
I feel like the scale of it does make a difference, but they did use a lot of practical effects. When I pull out the handy dandy notebook, I've got practical effects for you right here. So, Todd Packer at the paper company, Dennis.
Thank you so much for calling him that, because I also called him Todd Packer in my notes.
He
and
works
never
at a
Dennis.
paper company. It's too close to home.
He's
That's
Todd Packer.
So
yeah.
true. He is.
But he had like, when he got melted, he had like two prosthetics, and those took 2 hours to put on. Like that's
Ooh.
practical. You don't just CGI that.
Oh.
That
Fun
shit
fact number one.
slapped. That was awesome. His
That was a
hand, like
great
half
death.
of it stayed on the bridge as he fell down. Very cool. Very horrifying.
I love a good melting in a horror movie, right? Like
Yeah. Who does
'cause
it?
It's
Oh,
so over
yeah.
the top. Like catching on fire is
Yeah.
one thing, but when you just melt, that's different.
Yeah, and he
The
gave
tar.
a little
Mhm.
like as he fell too. Incredible acting. Beautiful.
Only could have come from Todd Packer.
Mhm.
And then Nathan, when he got hit by the swinging part of the bridge, they had like a whole little mannequin thing, and he was connected to a rope, and they just snatched him real hard, and he just got yanked across by like
He just got
some
He got
tension
yeeted.
wire.
yeeted.
He got yeeted.
He
Damn.
got truly yeeted. Wow. People.
That's all the fun facts I've got. A lot of
that's
it was a
great.
lot of
You
it
did
was
a great job.
the Lionsgate Bridge was where it was filmed. It's a
Wow.
weaker fun fact, but it's still a fun fact.
That's still fun. I didn't know. I had no idea.
I don't know what the
Uh,
Lionsgate Bridge is.
It's in Vancouver, I think.
Oh,
Canada.
tight.
Classic.
good for them.
I'm glad they went back to Canada.
Because the fourth one was the only one that wasn't. It was New
Uh-huh.
Orleans.
And one of the gymnasts in the gymnastics scene is a Canadian Olympiad.
Oh,
See,
that's
she should
beautiful.
have been taking lessons from her.
True to life. True to life. Well, is that you telling me that Candace's sailboat impaling death was not a practical effect? I'm so shocked to hear
What?
that.
Well,
When
They
her
really
gut-
impale her?
When the
when her
blood
gut
literally
shot
comes out of
into
the
your
screen.
face,
Yeah.
I love it when innards fly at my face. That's like the best part about 3D.
And in 3D, whoa!
Oh my god. Like,
Yeah,
it
that's
should have
been
been
really
in 4D
noticeable.
and they spray you with water right when that comes out.
They just
Like
got
the
spray
Shrek
cans with
ride at
ketchup.
Universal.
There's a theater at like the Chinese Grauman Theater in Hollywood, and they have 4D movies, and I went to one. This chair shakes. It
I
was a lot.
accidentally ended up watching one of the Fast and Furious in that theater, and I didn't realize
Ugh.
what.
Did you
I
think you were
was
having a
in
nervous
for.
breakdown?
I was like, is this an earthquake? Is it the big one? Are we gonna die? And my friend was
What
like,
a sexy place to die from the big one, though. Sitting in the seat
Right?
watching Vin
What?
Diesel, like that's a very California way to
Were
go.
you
Very
really
LA.
watching it like on the back of one of those TVs that comes down from the roof and you're like, I'm in a car right now.
right?
This is the 40 experience.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. I love, okay, back to the things that they brought back for this one. We were complaining for FD4 that they didn't have a spooky song. But they got a spooky song back.
Dust in the wind.
So
Brings
important.
up
They brought back the
cremation
spooky
vibes.
wind, the
Yes.
spooky
Yes.
song. They really were doing like a lot of callbacks to the original franchise in ways that I thought worked really well.
They,
Totally.
As they
they
should have.
really missed out on like the sentient wind. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like
the
that played
spooky
a
wind.
huge part in season or in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was so good. I loved the sentient wind. I loved when the sentient wind turned to the angle stop in the beginning and made the toilet leak. Like I loved that. Like really, they really could not figure out at the beginning how they wanted this to work out. If they wanted it to be a series of possible things that could possibly happen, or just like God being like, I turned the handle, or excuse me, death being like, I turned the handle. God is not involved in this film.
There is no
Uh,
God in the Final
There
Destination
is no
franchise.
God. Okay, here's my other question that I have. How early in this episode do we spoil the entire thing? Because there's stuff throughout the movie that I want to bring up that has to do with the big twist. What do you
3
think?
seconds before the very end.
We can't do
twist.
it right
No.
now.
And that's the big twist. See you later.
So then should I
Mm.
just wait until the end and then list in a list all the things that told you that that was the twist? Because I
Yeah,
do
I
have a
think
list.
so.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fine.
Yes.
That's good to know. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was awesome. I loved that this entire time that I've been seeing the poster for FD5. I was like, why are there nails coming out of that face? Again, we've already done nails in the face like 5 different times. Like in this, okay, only 2 different times, but 2 times is a lot of times for a franchise with only 5 movies to have
That's got
nails
his-
in the face.
He's got his
I was
favorite
like-
ways of doing it.
I was like, is there going to be a 3rd nail in the face? Well, joke's on me. That's rebar, baby. I'm an idiot.
You fool. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think they have a lot of fun with the deaths in the beginning though, because we have Candace getting impaled on the sailboat.
Mhm.
I think Isaac's death is actually still pretty fun, where he stays in the bus as it topples over and he goes like rolling towards the front and then gets smashed. Olivia's death haunts me because it's like that Twilight episode where like
Yeah.
the last man and then he loses his glasses. Like I always am thinking
Bro,
about
that was my first existential crisis. I had a full blown lose it thing when I was like 7. And I was like, Mommy, what's he gonna do without his glasses?
What's the
And
car
she
gonna
didn't have a good
like?
answer.
Why didn't she swim away?
She couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I think it was coming really
She
fast.
lost her glasses.
She had also just fallen like 100 feet. So she's
Just
probably a little
discombobulated a little.
disoriented.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really horrifying. I would also hate to be melted. That would be not
Mhm.
good.
Not
I
ideal.
like all the little CGI people who aren't actual characters in the movie who just die throughout. Those are fun. There's one guy who falls like right when they're trying to like do the little tight rope walk thing right before that. He's like, ah, and he's a fake guy the whole time. It's a CGI guy the whole time, but I liked him. He was cool. I hope he's okay.
Peter's death when he gets like impaled with all the like
The rebar.
the
And his
rebar,
eye.
but then he falls and hits the bridge concrete.
Splatters. Yeah.
And there's foreshadowing to that when the spooky wind comes and it blows
Spooky
that
wind.
like cooler of drink
Mhm.
in onto the
The
hole, and then it
Gatorade.
hits the thing at the bottom. It's the same thing, foreshadowing. Wow, it's beautiful. um but yeah, I mean, it just does suck that after all of that hard work trying to save everyone's life, Sam gets cut in half.
Yeah. Yeah, he really has been a hero in the beginning. But what I think is super interesting about this opening premonition as opposed to the other ones is that we see that there is a survivor within the premonition, or at
Yeah.
least someone who like might have died after the person having the premonition died, because we kind of get that in FD2, but it's like revealed as a twist after the fact, so you don't really get like the full weight of it from the beginning and what it might mean. And I think it's so interesting in this one to like have that question up front, because there's, you know, they're five deep at this point, and it's like, how do you set this one apart from the others? How do you make this one like a little special something? That definitely raises questions, you know.
I have a theory
Okay.
that I want to talk about later, like once we get into the whole
Tony Todd
twist
part?
of this movie.
Mhm.
I have a theory about Molly.
Okay.
Well, I think she's also in there to make the very end, when we get to the twist, all the more potent, because you extra don't see it coming, because you've been told the whole film that things are going to turn out a certain way. So
But
I thought
see,
that
this
was
also
interesting.
brings, I mean, it brings a couple questions to the entire series, right?
Okay.
I don't want to get into the questions now because I'm
Oh.
a little
See what I mean?
nervy.
That's why it's hard.
There
to
are
get to the
questions,
end.
though.
We have a
Questions
lot of
are
things
spoil it.
we're going to talk about, guys.
This
We're
is for
just
future. Y'all
tempting
just
you.
remember I said
We're
this,
just
all right?
tempting you. We're like, hello, listener. You better listen to the whole episode, because all the juicy shit's coming at the end.
Yeah, we're just talking about wind right now.
Just talking about that beautiful wind. Um, yeah, I feel like everything, it's like a really long opening scene, but I feel
The
like,
longest in the franchise.
yeah, I feel like it's a quick, really, really quickly paced. They don't waste any time. And I think that usually there's like a little bit more time from your premonition to when the shit starts to go down, but he really has to act quickly to make sure that anyone survives this thing.
What if
That's
the
I think
about
doors
that's
were
in
locked on the
part-
bus?
That'd be crazy.
Like,
That'd be
what if the
bad.
driver's like, no?
Then
Go
it would
back
be
to
the
your
end of
seats?
Final Destination 3.
All my bus drivers were mean. They were like, they'd yell at me for talking. So like, I don't know how they get away
These
with it.
are corporate adults. They're the ones that Todd Packer's in charge here.
Todd Packer runs it.
But yeah, I think what's interesting about this opening is that it leaves space for, even once the premonition ends, like the ordeal of escaping the disaster is more complicated than in the other movies, where it's kind of just like, as long as they get out of the way real fast, everything can happen real quick off screen and we don't need anything to be briefed. And this movie, they're still like running away from it, escaping it in the moment as it's almost like chasing them, which is fun.
Yeah, no, they was still felt touch or go, even after he had the premonition that they were going to even make it out alive, you know? So that was cool.
But yeah, they go to the funeral right after that, which I think has some really funny stuff.
Oh my
IMDb,
God, so funny.
yeah, IMDb was talking about how this movie, as opposed to FD4, is kind of a turn away from like the comic stuff that they were doing and back to like the serious, dark nature of the first Final Destination, which I think is kind of not true. But they have some
I
really,
think
really
it's
good
true.
jokes. I mean, it's serious and dark again. I mean, murder's on the table. But I don't think it's like any less funny than the others.
Oh no, but the first ones were funny too. They just had a more like serious tone to them. Whereas like SD, wow, I'm changing the whole name. FD3 was like campy as hell. And it was like more funny throughout. Still a little serious, but it felt more funny throughout. And FD4 was just like the silliest thing that anyone has ever seen. someone's
Yeah.
butthole gets ripped out, like like, but yeah, I don't know. I think that this one is definitely more serious tonally, but it's definitely still hilarious because like that's the whole thing with Final Destination. Like the reason that the franchise continues on is like it's not like you're scared. It's not like you're like, oh, what's gonna happen next? You know what's gonna happen next. They're gonna fucking die in an egregious, hilarious way because it's so preposterous. But it still gets you, I don't know. I think it's an innately comedic series.
Yeah, but I mean, just in the funeral scene alone, I just love that Todd Packer reads Isaac's name out
That's
as
so
though he's
funny.
already dead, and then they tease him about it. I just think that part's great. I think it's worth mentioning.
Or is it foreshadowing?
Or is it foreshadowing?
But yeah, then we finally get Tony Todd up in our beautiful grills, and I just love him so much. And he is so sexy with that earring. I swear to God. I'm going to say it now. There's a part later in the second time that he's in it, or the third time that he's in it, when he reveals his little coroner outfit and he's looking back and he's showing off his earring. And I was like, wow, Chelsea, screenshot this for social immediately. Incredible. He's got the look. Okay. And
We
he
can do a
just
thirst
continues-
roundup for sure.
I feel like in
Or
this
Shop
one he's a
Thursday.
little less like horny about dead bodies. You know how
Sure.
he kind of is like that?
A little bit, yeah.
Too. Yeah, he's like ripping out nipple piercing and really enjoying it. This one we don't get to see him directly touch a corpse, which damn, too bad.
A
But
shame.
really too bad. But he does have some knockout, drag out quotes, like very spooky, and some excellent whistling. You don't get enough spooky whistling anymore, Something
Tony
I think
Todd
about
is a
lot.
gift to us personally. Like,
If
an
they don't put him
angel.
in the sixth one, like then don't have it.
Don't
boycott.
bother.
Boycott.
The fact that he was missing an FD4, that was what flopped that movie.
I was about to say, no, they knew it was the Final Destination when Tony Todd wasn't there, because who would want to watch one after? Like,
They
set
said, we'll
themselves
trick you
up for
into
failure.
seeing this.
That's why he's in the fifth one so much. They're making up for the fourth one.
They had to
He's
apologize.
also not in the third one enough, in my opinion.
That's true, but at least he was.
Is
was
he in
involved,
any of them enough?
You know what I mean?
No.
I mean,
maybe FD6 is an all Tony Todd Final Destination.
I want it
maybe
to be
he's more
narrated by
hands
him.
on.
Give
I
the
would
people
love
what they want.
like a puppet
But-
show.
Again, we'll discuss FD6 at the end because I don't think we can really discuss it and the implications of it until after we finish talking about this movie. But I have thoughts. Anyway.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so spooky. He's just doing his ominous shit here. He's like, oh, just so you know, you're gonna die. Death doesn't like to be trifled with, or whatever the hell. And like I get it, but like how fucked up. Like all these people are at like all their coworkers' funeral, and he's just like, yeah, prepare to die. But that's kind of his whole thing. We love him for it.
He's seen this before, guys.
Well, I think also like to the point that like these characters feel a little bit more developed, like they get to hang out a little bit more too. Even the part where they're all grieving together and they're like drinking in the office, felt like informative to getting to know them and their dynamic and that sort of a thing. So I think that was really nice. Like there is space in a movie with 1,000 kills to have a little bit of times where they talk to each other before they die.
Well,
So
they
keep
knew
that
each
in mind
other.
for FD6.
In 3 and 4, they didn't know each other hardly. Like you had your main little group that knew each other, but I mean, well, not in, or I'm 2. They're all
2
strangers.
and 4, yeah.
And then 4,
Yep.
you got your main group, and then just another couple people that wanted to watch me get born.
Exactly. Spencer was actually born at that NASCAR race. At that
I caused the
exact
crash.
one.
Oopsie.
A baby is born on the track. That's amazing. That would have been that would have upped the ante for FD4 for sure. So too bad. Who dies first?
Candace.
Candace.
Candace. Okay, let's talk about
Gymnastic
it.
scene.
I've never felt worse in my life. I was gonna
Yeah.
throw up. I
Yeah.
was gonna throw up. There's too many things going on, and I love this. I love this. Every time, every movie, there's one death or maybe two, or like 45 different horrifying things, like the hairdresser one from the last
Mhm.
movie. There's 45 different things going on, and you're like, that's gonna get her. No, she's gonna, it's gonna be the tack. No, it's gonna be her being electrocuted by the worst extension cord that anyone's ever seen in their life. Oh no, maybe the whole fan from the fucking AC that just was on the fritz is gonna come down and slice everyone into a million pieces. Like, there's so many options, and the one that happens really didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that's the worst part about this is that they set up all of this anticipation and then like it pays off in that the screw at least is related. You know what I mean? The other gymnast plonks right onto it, and that's what makes her fall off the beam and into the powder. And then that with the fan, because the AC is on the fritz, is like what throws the whole thing off. But then the actual death is both so sudden and kind of unrelated and also so unbelievably gruesome
yeah.
And it
that you just
immediately,
can't
too.
possibly the way her body just crumples, like my god.
I
Her
hate
spine was coming
watching
out.
bones break. Like I could never
What?
watch those
Compound fracture.
those like compilation videos people would watch of like skaters just eating shit. I couldn't, and they'd like
Who
break a
the
leg
fuck?
or break. All of my guy friends in like middle school used to watch those. That was like
Are they
such
in
a thing to
therapy
do.
now?
No,
Yeah,
they're
you
men,
should-
of course
you should
not.
check if they're like on a list
watch
somewhere.
list.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh my
Handy dandy
God.
notebook time.
Oh,
Yes.
It was
Oh yeah.
the effect was done because the main actress was wearing green screen pants and her stunt double just did the other way. And so it looked like she folded.
She was folded.
Well, that's how
That's
what happened. She
so
folds.
awesome.
And
So it
also
was just like some other bitch with a green screen top on, and her legs were draped over Candace's head. That's
Oh,
so
yeah.
funny. That's so funny.
but
Continue.
it wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have died if she would have practiced her landings more.
No,
Practice makes
listen,
perfect.
Listen.
Oh my God.
Okay, there was so much discourse about this at the last Summer Olympics, whenever that was. It was like rescheduled because of the pandemic. But Simone Biles like had to excuse herself from it because she said she was not in the right like state of mind to be competing. And there was one performance where she did like one less flip than she was supposed to do in that trick. And one of my best friends is really into gymnastics, so like I saw it all on Twitter, where it's like amazing that she was able to land that trick with one last flip, because you're relying on muscle memory so much, but it is so dangerous to get like discombobulated in the air.
The spinnies.
Yeah, it's like a huge risk. It's so dangerous. You really have to be in the right state of mind and like fully in control of yourself. Muscle memory can only take you so far. So I think like, you know, first of all, she's not in the right state of mind because she was just involved in a huge trauma and a bunch of people just died. So that's one thing.
Also, her
the-
lucky bracelet just broke.
it
So I would have been
snapped,
like,
yeah.
no. I would have been like, actually, honey, time to go.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I'll
that
take y'all's word for it.
plus-
Don't know anything about gymnastics.
Look, I did gymnastics when I was 8, so I'm basically an Olympian myself. But yeah, I just think like it is a very dangerous sport. And you throw in some bad feelings and some spooky dust blocking your vision and a commotion going on right next to you. And I think shit can hit the fan really easily.
Or the ground.
Or the ground.
Shit
Or
can
the
hit the ground
ground.
real hard.
I like that they pulled a little. I don't think it was necessarily meant to be a reference to FD3, but the little post-death twitch, a la McKinley, that was really nice and very horrifying. I hope that she died right away though, because poor thing, Jesus Christ. Jesus, I was so amped up from that. And then like immediately after that, we get the one that gets me even more fucked up, which is what's his fucking name? Isaac's death. Oh my God. Okay, what a shitty bitch that he's going around stealing coins from all coins and massage gifts from every one of his dead coworkers. Like, what a little fucker.
He's absolutely a
Um,
bitch.
He's
Well,
such a bitch.
I
He
mean, when he
sucks
goes
so
to
bad.
the massage parlor, he's like outwardly being a creep, like as
He's
Yeah,
creepy
he's
as
looking for a
possible.
happy ending.
racist. Also,
Yeah. I mean, there is a shocking amount for the era, although perhaps not shocking if you know what if you know. But a shocking amount of fat shaming in this movie. And he is the perpetrator of literally so much of it. And it's just generally speaking like terrible all around. His death is the one I think in particular where you from your first meeting of him are waiting for it to be his turn.
oh yeah, you gotta have someone who you're like, you fucking suck, you know.
Mhm.
And so that was cathartic. But also, how dare they make me squirm so much when I was waiting for him to die? Because I love that she the like front desk person at the massage parlor sends in like the meanest mommy at the massage parlor to teach him a fucking lesson. I thought that that was awesome. And like I love that she's just pretending she doesn't speak English the whole time so she doesn't have to talk to his fucking rancid ass.
That's the best part.
But here's the thing. Have any of y'all gotten acupuncture before? Because one, I would
Yes,
never, but
I love
okay.
it.
Do they make you sleep for 30 minutes when you're covered in needles? Because that is my worst nightmare.
I think they
That's
do.
Yeah,
Or
horrible.
rest.
yeah, but those needles are way too big. Like the needles that they use are like so thin, you don't feel them at all. And then you just you it just in automatic like bliss mode. You can't even fight it,
Oh,
quite
okay,
frankly.
I
I don't
feel like
know.
I'd
I
be
could
too
barely handle
anxious.
massages.
You-
Yeah.
Like
If you're
subconsciously,
anxious,
needles
there's-
are in you.
you'd be like, this makes me anxious, and they'll find whatever pressure point it is and stick a needle in that. No anxiety. It's gone.
They'll be like, this is where you keep your anxiety. Stick it with a needle. Your anxiety's gone.
That shit's
Yeah.
so crazy. How is that a real thing? I mean, I
Here's the
believe
thing.
you, but that's
As-
so crazy.
As a hot girl, we all know that I have tummy troubles. And the only time like my tummy issues were like really on point and like working and not, almost non-existent was when I was going and getting acupuncture every week.
There you
Wow,
go.
Gotta find you an acupuncturist around your house.
I know.
Wow. I mean, this is another fun misdirection one, but not nearly to the same degree as the gymnastics one. But we do love a little fire, a little isopropyl alcohol,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
cell phone causing an issue.
It is a little reminiscent of the tanning bed death from
Totally.
FD3. I wish
Mhm.
there was like a little bit more of it of his own making, kind of like in FD3, where it was like they brought the Slurpees in, like they blah blah blah, you know what I mean, cranked the settings. I wish other than stealing the certificate that like got him the coupon that got him in the door, I wish there was like more of it to bring it on himself, because otherwise it feels like he went into this establishment being like, you guys are gonna jerk me off, right? And they were like, we're professionals. And he was like, but you're gonna jerk me off, right? And he was like, "Look," but then while they are a professional establishment, it's like their shelves are falling off the wall just randomly and he gets smushed by a big Buddha statue. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish.
No, I agree with you. I was like, this is going to be a huge insurance claim and it's going to be a huge lawsuit for this beautiful establishment. And I don't want
They
them
don't
to be at
deserve
fault.
it. It shouldn't
nice.
be their fault. It should be his fault.
Does death pay for insurance claims?
No,
They better.
they don't. He don't. Whatever.
That's
Death
a lawsuit
is,
in the making.
They don't. I know. You wish you could sue him, but you can't nail him down.
I
It's
want
too
the
bad.
class action lawsuit on death right now.
We'll try. We'll try.
Final
How are you gonna
Destination
serve him?
6
How are
courtroom
you
drama.
gonna serve him? How are you gonna serve him?
That's a
It'll be
good point.
impossible to serve him papers. Just throw them into the next gust of wind
Next
that you
spooky
feel.
wind.
Oh man. But yeah, I do love that his face got smooshed by the Buddha because how dare he?
He
speak ill of
literally
the Buddha.
fashioned even Buddha.
Like that was Buddha. That one wasn't death. That was Buddha swooping in, being like,
That's
bitch.
karma.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Buddhists are mostly non-violent, but you got to make an exception every now and again. But yeah, his death slapped, and then we get Tony Todd again. Thank God. Thank God. And this is the part where I'm like, okay, there's this part that this article that I read online about how they're like, is Tony Todd the villain of the Final Destination franchise? And I was like, one, how dare you? He's too sexy to be wrong. But two, yes, because he does kind of just like scare everyone and fuck with them and tell them stuff that's not actually true, um, for the most part, because like all of the like helpful hints that he's given throughout have just led to more destruction. So they're not actually really helpful in the end. You can't actually escape it.
I feel like he's an impartial party though. He just likes to watch. But
oh
he is
yeah,
he is
he's
war
like a
profiteering.
chaos maker.
He
Oh,
is
yeah.
war profiteering from death as a coroner, and it's immoral.
Well, and this one too, he straight up is like, you know what you could do? You could like murder.
I have a question
whoa.
about that.
Yeah.
If those
please.
rules apply, say someone just goes and kills like 30 people, do you get all of their time?
30 lives.
I think it's like a
only
one
if
time
you're-
already marked for death.
It's like your get out of jail Monopoly card.
Yeah, it's
All right.
only if you're in this weird scenario where you have cheated death
You
once,
just
and you
go-
get one chance to
You
cheat him back.
find the healthiest baby at the hospital and you just steal their whole future. I think if you're really trying to play the game.
S-
So
I mean,
I didn't make the rules. I'm just saying if you want to take full advantage, I
don't
think those
make
are
the
your best
rules.
chances.
I just clean up after it's over, says Chelsea. Oh my God. Well, I mean, hide your children if we're in this scenario. Spencer, you should watch out. You're a child yourself. Someone could
He's
be
only
coming
9
for
years
your
old.
life.
He's got
You're
so
only
much
9
time
years
ahead
old.
of him.
I'm marked
Yeah, he's only-
already, so like I'm looking for a baby.
So fucked.
I
Child
was
on
at the
child
raceway.
crime.
But okay, I love that. Like, obviously, okay, what we didn't talk about is like Peter's in a really rough place. All right. He loved his little intern baby bride so much. And now she crunched in half, and he told her to go crunch in half, essentially. It's not his fault, but he's probably having a lot of guilt over that. He's also drinking a lot at work, and you know, it was with other people, but he's having a hard time. But the fact that he's like immediately like, you're telling me to murder? Tell me more about that.
He
He's on
definitely
board,
is
yeah.
down. He's team fight babies.
Oh, seriously. And he's like so hurt too when like oh my God, I keep forgetting the main guy's name. It's just
Sam.
some white man name. Yeah, Sam. Okay, so when Sam is like, oh yeah, by the way, Molly never died. And Peter's like, oh, so you think Molly deserves to live the most out of all of us? Is that why you saved her? Like, this is like a fictitious premonition that you don't even know if you believe at this point, and you're going this hard.
He's got nothing to lose. His intern's gone.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose except for those eyebrows. And thank God those don't get singed off at any point. At least I don't think. His
What a
eyebrows
loss
are
it would be for the film.
magnificent. They're
Mhm.
magnificent. Oh God, Tony Todd. He's so sexy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be thinking about that.
Just
the whole
thinking about it.
rest of
Sure. But yeah, I
Um,
mean, there. At what point do we get the Tony Todd scene where he starts to lay it out for them? I think it's
No,
after.
that was right
It's
there.
after
It was
Isaac.
right after.
Oh, it's
yeah,
right
we
after
already set it
Isaac.
up. Yeah, it was right
Okay.
after Isaac. And that's when they're like, "Oh fuck, we gotta go tell Olivia," and it's too late.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Olivia death scene is also
I
really
hate it.
terrible to
I
me.
hate it so much.
As people who are in this room, we're not in a room together on this podcast, who here has glasses and who was extra scared by that? Because I don't have glasses yet, And so has LASIK ever been on the table for you? And is it now no longer?
I would rather be fully blind than have LASIK. I would
I
rather
mean,
just never have a laser in my eye. And this is part of why.
here's the thing. This movie really presents both very terrible options, because she loses her glasses in the beginning and it impedes her ability to save herself. And then she goes, okay, fuck that, I'm getting LASIK, and then obviously that does not go well. I have thought about LASIK. I can tell you there are so many advantages to being able to just wake up and see things. I had a mouse problem at one point when I was living in Baltimore in my apartment, and I slept with like a light on or my glasses on my face or like contacts in my eyes for like a long time, so I would be at least like halfway prepared one way or the other in case I
If
needed
a
to
mouse
see
was
something in the middle of the
killing you?
night. If it was, no, it's scary. But yeah, I mean, I would do LASIK. I think it's very scary as a concept, and also watching this does not help.
My friend got LASIK
Very recently.
on Thursday of last
Yeah.
week. And then came to a party at the beach immediately afterwards. So like she was wearing goggles the whole time. It was amazing. But I know she's seen all the Final Destination movies. And so I need to now ask her, like, was that the only thing that you were thinking the entire time it was being done? I don't understand how you can possibly be conscious for that procedure. I would
No.
like to be knocked out like with a hammer, like opposed to being awake for that. Absolutely no, thank you.
I think friend of the pod, Devin, has had LASIK
Yes.
too.
Devin has had LASIK.
She did just have LASIK.
Yeah. And I have perfect eyesight in hopes that one day I will maybe only need readers, knock on wood. I would kill myself. I'd kill myself before wearing contacts. Like I literally, the thought of having to like put something like that close to my eye freaks me the fuck out. Like I recently like was looking at somebody and could see the contact on their eye and got freaked out.
She will
No.
not survive the coming apocalypse.
It's just like this was really a disrespectful one, because it turned into like a super laser. Like it really turned into the type of laser that would like, chop off your arm. Like that's
Like
what the
A
LASIK
James
laser
Bond
turned into.
laser. It felt
Like
very
some-
James Bond to me.
Yeah, like or like are
The
those-
Austin
were those
Powers with the
sharks?
lasers.
Yeah, the sharks with the laser guns on top from Austin Powers. That's what it turned into. Oh, and also like they gave her the little teddy bear to hold on to. She was stringing the shit out of it. She ripped its eyeball out. I was like, how dare you, you assholes? How dare you?
Well, like the doctor just really wasn't a good doctor. Why would he leave his patient alone with the machine on?
With her little eye propped open, like at the very least, what if dust is falling in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if your ceiling has a leak?
Malpractice. Malpractice suit.
It was
Um,
super interesting though to see how they mirrored some of the old deaths in this movie. Like we talked about how Isaac's death in the acupuncture salon is very tanning bed adjacent. This death is a lot like the dentist one from FD2, at least in part where they have like all of this setup there that doesn't end up like being a thing. But there's so much
Totally.
overlap in those two. There's so many eye injuries in the FD franchise. Like you get the hot muscle car guy in FD2, and then you get the MILF in FD4 where her eye gets got.
I find this one to actually be very reminiscent of the mammogram death.
That's what I thought you were thinking of. I thought for sure you were thinking of the LASIK scene and just got confused until you started saying
No, baby.
details. And I was like,
No,
oh, she's got
baby.
this whole other thing going on.
I don't remember most things, but the things I do remember, they're in there forever and they haunt me daily. But yeah, I don't know if you've heard our other episodes, Spencer, but I am convinced that there was at some point a mammogram Final Destination death where a woman's boob explodes. to say it technically, but it was not in
Mhm.
any of the 5 films that we have now watched over the last 5 months. And I can't figure out where. I've definitely seen this with my eyes, and there are like 5 people on Reddit who also remember this from somewhere too, and no one in the world knows where. So if you ever come across it, please immediately call me
Do you think you all
wherever
have
you
like
are.
a shared repressed memory
Yeah, like, do I
of
secretly
like,
know all those people? Like, we all went to preschool together. Something crazy
and
happened.
someone's boob exploded? Like,
Oh yeah, that time. I really hope not, because I don't want to have any trauma, but also like at this point I'm trying to just get answers.
I just want to know.
But similar to what you were saying, Chelsea, there also were similarities between the OG premonition deaths in this movie at the beginning of FD5 that relate to their deaths within the movie. And it doesn't happen with all of them, but it happens with uh excuse me, I forget her name. Carolyn.
Olivia?
Is that her name? Oh no.
Candace.
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 Okay, fucking Christ. I just hated her. I hated her, so I couldn't remember her fucking name. Candace, when she like gets impaled by the sailboat thing, she kind of snaps backward in half, and then she
Yeah.
snaps backward in half on the gymnast floor. There's a point where you think that Isaac is dead because he's like smashed on the floor and all the needles have gone into him, and he's like splashed up against the ground, like smashed against it. It's just like when he's smashed against the glass in the front of the bus. And then with this death, with Olivia's death, there's like the homage to her eyesight being a part of it, but also, you know how she dies in the end, she flies out the window and smashes onto a car, just like how a car flies through the sky and smashes onto her in her original death. So there's also a connection with the next death too, which is Nathan's death, right?
Well, Nathan's not death.
No.
Yeah.
Nathan's not death. Yeah,
Roldy's
I'm so
death.
sorry. It should be Nathan's death, but he escapes it. But it's a similar type of thing, like it was like that cable
The hook.
thing that flew through the sky and smashed him when he was on the bridge. But this
Yeah.
one is a giant hooked thing flying through the sky and would have smashed him, but instead he murks Roy, the union rep for the factory.
I'm always so prepared to let Nathan off the hook for this one until he admits, yeah, I think I did do it on purpose. Because it doesn't really
doesn't
seem
look
that
like
way. I
he
wish they had
did.
made it look, yeah, I wish they had put that into the scene a little bit more.
I think it was like guilt more of him being like, I must have done it on
I
purpose
must have
because I hated
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
and I knew about this.
I think Nathan's innocent.
Nathan, he felt like the good guy the whole time, like
Yeah.
the nice guy. I can't see him being the one to push a poor union rep into a hook.
He would never do that to a union rep.
You would never do that. And oh my God, what a way to go.
Nathan's the
That-
real union buster.
Oh my God. The hook was so pointy and long.
Oh, and
they
the
like
second push
that and-
through out of his head,
Blech.
it was awful.
Beautiful. Something that we haven't talked about throughout, but it's coming up because we have to talk about Todd Packer's death. What's his name in the fucking
Dennis.
actual
Dennis.
movie? Dennis. Okay, Dennis the Menace. Just to talk about his character a little bit more. There's this one part where he's like the manager, right? Or he's like the boss of all of these people, including all the people who died. And so he's on the phone with his big boss, and they're like, so these are the instructions you'll have to do to deactivate all of the like entrance cards for all the employees who died. And he's like, isn't there a facilities manager who should be doing this? And they're like, Dennis, the facilities manager is dead. It was like, obviously, Dennis, obviously the whole staff fucking died. All of them died except for the lucky 8. Come on.
Everybody is dead, Dennis.
What does
But I
this do
love
to
that-
the company?
They closed
that's
down
kind
the
of the
whole
question.
branch.
Yeah,
They
that's what they're
closed it
talking
down.
about. Because with Molly and Sam, they have that scene where he goes to her place and he has the big confrontation where you find out like she's not a bitch because she dumped him. She dumped him for his own good so he could follow his dreams and go to culinary school at the restaurant in Paris. And you get that moment where at some point they start to be like, okay, well, the company's closing down. So like he has the opportunity to really do it now. And if he was staying for her, maybe she can go with him now that she has to do a new start too. And that's kind of like, they kind of address it a little bit. Everybody has to figure their shit out, which creates this opportunity for them, for their love.
See, I did not pay attention during all the corporate America talks.
Spencer, get used to it. You were just a cog in the corporate America capitalist
He's only 9. He doesn't
machine.
need to know this yet.
You're
I-
still a
I-
cog.
At some point, Chelsea, it might as well be on this
I
episode of Spooky
invest all
Tuesday.
of my allowance.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah, ahead of me.
We do his allowance in crypto, actually, so it's fine.
Sweet
Stop.
God, I
I-
hate everything that is happening. Okay, but the one thing I love that we haven't talked about is that Dennis is like the little informant for Agent Block, who is convinced that
Something
somehow
spooky is happening.
Sam is a domestic terrorist.
Why could we not bring back Agent Shrek?
Oh,
Which one is that?
In the first one, it was Agent Shrek. Because
Yeah,
the movie
his
came
last
out
name was
before
Shrek.
Shrek. And I want
Can't
Agent
just have a
Shrek.
Shrek anymore. It's so
Yeah.
sad
You couldn't
We
have brought
can't.
him back though because of reasons.
because Shrek had already. Oh
Right,
yeah,
it's
that's true.
copyrighted now.
No, yeah, and also because reasons. Wink face, nudge, nudge. Anyway,
Reasons.
I love that Dennis's death is so fast and it's just over. It's literally only comedic relief.
And it's also great 3D fodder.
That's true.
Too true, bestie. Too true. I wish I could have seen this in 3D. I would have loved it.
I know. This
I'm
one
gonna
would have been
find-
fun.
When I'm rich and famous, I'm going to have my own in-house 4D theater and I'll somehow hook it all up so we can watch all of the Final Destination or at least the last two in 4D. I'll have someone standing on the side with a water bottle with a spray cap to spray us when all the blood parts
A
happen.
little fan, some handheld fans maybe to create a little spooky wind.
Adam will be running around doing all the 4D.
At the very start, we're gonna dump tar on you.
They no.
We're gonna feather
Whenever
you.
there's a hot part, there's a hair dryer blowing in your face. It's perfect. It's gonna be so. I mean, I'll have to get a special fan to do the spooky wind, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
What would Final Destination be without spooky wind?
I
A
don't
flop?
know. Nothing. Nothing. It would be nothing. Okay. Is everyone dead except for Peter and Sam and Molly?
Nathan.
Yeah,
And
Nathan's still
Nathan.
kicking.
Well, we skipped Nathan. He's
Yeah.
fine.
He stole Roy's life, so he's good now.
He committed
Allegedly.
murder.
I
Allegedly.
Stolen a life.
personally love the like switch to like a legitimate slasher movie that this movie
I think
turns
it's so
to.
good and fun.
It fucking slaps. And it takes place in a kitchen. Like there's so many things. Like they're setting that up the whole time, even though you know Sam can't die throughout this whole time. Because you know he's
not
last
his
to
turn,
go in
yeah.
the premonition. Yeah. And we know if it's not your turn, it's not your turn, baby. Try as you might. But like they do such a good job setting up all these fucking like death machines. It's like 25 different meat munchers or mashers that they have, and all these big knives and all this stuff to make you anxious throughout. And then it fucking pays off at this final scene. You should have known. I mean, here's the thing for me. If Peter had shown up when I was having my romantic I'm going to Paris dinner, I'd be like, hey, Peter, it's not a good time.
Bad
We're gonna
time,
fuck in the
bro.
restaurant, Peter. It's not the time right now.
Peter,
too
we've
good
got
of
nothing to
friends.
lose.
Peter, get out.
Yeah, I think that Monica's right. It's so fun the way that they like genre swap a little at the end because it makes sense within the rules of the movie. It makes sense within like the stakes that they've set up. But also Final Destination has never really like gotten to do it in that way. They like get
Never.
close to it a little in FD3 where Ian, when they have the confrontation with Zip and Pip in the hardware store, and Ian does the whole, okay, So what you're saying is, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, if you killed yourself right now, then all of the rest of us would be safe. Why don't you do that? And then near the end of the movie, he's kind of being like, maybe I'll kill you. But I don't think
Like,
he really
stop.
was.
Yeah.
And we talked about that on that episode. But they've never like fully made the leap until now. And I just think it's so fun to open that up, especially in the context of like, you have someone who survived the initial premonition. You're kind of wondering why the whole time. It ends up being plot relevant. It comes back around. Like, did she deserve to live from the initial thing? Is she the only one he's comfortable killing because she was like involved with it and it's not fair in the first place that she survived? Blah, blah, blah. Like you said, you have like Sam's there, but it's not his turn until the other guy dies or does a murder. And so you have like all these little elements at play, just, and you don't know where it's going. And now it's like not just tense because anything could happen and the ceiling could cave in at any time because it's Final Destination, but also there's this active role being taken.
Assailant, yeah. Yeah, and it's just so sad also because you start to like care about these characters because they've been there for each other. At least Sam and Peter have been cute homies the whole time. And you're like, wow, Peter is so far gone that he's going to do a kill. He's going to do a kill because he's like, you get your girlfriend, no fair. Mine's in half.
Mine's dead.
And so I'm going to make yours in half now.
I had to see my girlfriend get split in half and I didn't do it.
Oh, Jesus.
I hate that.
Hated it a lot. Hated it so much. But that said, I do also like the like cop out part too. Not cop out, but like the like misdirection where he's like talking about how he tried to kill all these people and he was so scared and he couldn't do it and that's because he was like then he's like, surprise, it's because I wanted to kill you, Molly. Like, oh my god.
I felt like that was kind of dumb though. Like, yeah, I couldn't kill these people I have no attachment and know nothing about, so I'm gonna kill my boy's girl. Like, his justification just felt off because it was because he felt like she deserved to die because she didn't deserve to die at the bridge.
Right, because she didn't die. Now she deserved to die.
But like,
it's real good logic there.
Peter kind of goes a little bonkies.
I think it's complicated because I think he feels like it is morally more justified to do someone who was involved with the original scenario, but that does not give him a lot of options because
the devil you know,
it can't be
over
Sam.
The devil you don't know.
Yeah, it can't be Sam because he knows Sam's time is coming real soon. It's not going to steal enough life for him to keep on living if he picks Sam. I guess he could have targeted Nathan, but that's also kind of like an unknown where Nathan already took Roy's years or whatever, and like that loops back around also, which is fun because I put in my notes like, okay, but we don't know how long Roy has. But yeah, I see why Molly, obviously it's fucked up that it's Molly, but I think he just didn't have a lot of options. But then it does get more complicated at the end, which I love because Agent Block, the police guy, pops up. And I don't know why earlier when Agent Block is like questioning them about terrorism or whatever, and it's like several deaths in at this point, and they're suspicious of Tony Todd as the coroner. Why would they not be like, yeah, the coroner told us stuff? Like, obviously Agent Block has some kind of professional relationship with the coroner who's at every funeral and death scene. You'd think he'd be able to weigh in a little, but I don't know, that would be too easy. So they just don't
you dare implicate Tony Todd. How fucking dare you?
Well, not implicate him and say he's the murderer, but being like, he told us all about this. I don't know, I just think you think Tony Todd would have some professional respect with it. Maybe everybody at the police is like, that guy, he's so creepy. I don't know.
That
like,
guy's too sexy
not
and
that
he's
guy.
good at whistling, and so we leave him alone.
Yeah, but I love that Peter shoots Agent Block when he pops up and he gets there, and for a second you're like, oh, he doesn't need Molly's life anymore. But then he's like, no, you witnessed the murder of a federal agent. And you're like, oh, she did witness like the murder of a federal
pretty
agent.
big crime there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. He didn't steal somebody's life just to spend those years behind bars.
Also, like, what in the end did Sam use to kill Peter? What the fuck was that? Like, the traditional cooking implement, a Triton. Like, what the fuck was that thing?
It could have been like a chicken roaster.
Or like
Ah!
for a luau where they roast
Like
a
a
whole
spit.
pig.
Yeah.
It was a spit. It was totally a part of a spit. Okay,
Nope, I think it's a trident.
but there could be. There could be a trident. I really want it to be a trident. And then, of course, they get you one more time. And this was smart. The fucking gun, the hot smoking gun in a different way than usual because it's on a Bunsen burner. Bunsen burner is not correct, but I wanted to say it. Anyway, like you really think that they are safe. You think that they are safe because the gun goes off and it almost shoots him in the goddamn fucking face, but it doesn't.
And
so
you're like, yay, they beat
yay!
death.
Finally, it's the Final Destination movie, and everyone actually gets to live this time. Huzzah! No.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
this
herein
is the
lies
moment.
The juicy bit.
It's not the last scene because then they do the whole Nathan part afterwards. But
like,
this,
whatever.
to me, is like the moment of the whole Final Destination franchise. Like, it's the perfect. I've said it since we started Final Destination Summer. I'm so glad we can like actually talk about it now. I think it was the perfect way to end the franchise, to loop it all back around. I think it's chef's kiss.
It's literally brilliant. It's so brilliant. I last night was like screaming at the top of my lungs when this part happened, not from fear, but being like, holy shit, this slaps. It slaps. It's genius.
One of the
They
things
call this.
One
What?
of the things that makes it so good too is like how many hints they drop. And I just want to say, notice zero of them. Zero of them the first time I watched it.
I thought only of one. Once I watched it the first time, I was like, wait, Isaac's fucking phone was old as shit. It was like some weird ass little flip phone. And I was like, it was 2011. I had an iPhone in 2011. They had those then. Like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm pretty sure they showed texting in Final Destination 4. So that was a hint. But there's so many good hints. Like, do we want to list them now? I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here's some that I read about. They obviously like bring up Paris all the time, but that feels like a throwback, you know?
Yeah.
But in reality, the restaurant that Sam is going to work at is the same restaurant that Alex and Clear and Carter go to in Paris. It's the same one. It's called like Miro 180 or something like that.
It's like La Cafe Miro 81, so that when you look at it
81.
backwards,
Flips
it does
up.
the
It's 180. Yeah. Some of the other hints is that this movie was actually, and this is how they refer to it, a stealth prequel. Amazing, incredible. I love that is what it is called.
It was great.
It's so smart. This is firmly set in the late 90s or very early 2000s, like making the reference that Olivia is like Lisa Loeb.
Yeah, like if you the pop culture references that they make are 100% dated, like the songs on the radio, but they're so small that it would be so difficult to pick up. The only one that I think is that's really blatant, but you have to be like super, super, super eagle-eyed to notice it, is that the expiration date on the massage certificate coupon is like in the year 2000.
Yeah, and there's also like other little subtle ones that you wouldn't think of in that they're not as definitive. That's super definitive. But little details that I just really appreciate because I love attention to detail. All the cars that are in it are models that like aren't past like the year 2000. And also all the license plates that you see are license plates that were discontinued in 2001. So they're like this type of styled license plate that they don't make anymore, which I just love that. And then I'm gonna read this one verbatim. It says when Block is interrogating the survivors after the bridge collapse, he asks Peter if Sam exhibited extremist sympathies, a word that wouldn't have been commonly used in 2011, when Block would have more bluntly asked if Sam had terrorist sympathies. Peter even has to ask, "You mean like a terrorist?" But was a common euphemism in the 90s for right-wing militia fanatics. Because when I was reading this, I was like, oh, it's because it happened right around 9/11, and that's why. No, 9/11 hadn't happened yet. That was our whole first episode of Final Destination Summer, where we were like, we never would have had this Final Destination movie if it had come out after 9/11.
So
No,
did
we
y'all
would not.
notice any of the clues?
The
No.
phone, I know.
The,
The phone
the
I only
phones?
noticed after I saw it. I was like, huh, but it's nothing. I noticed that it was an old phone, but I didn't care.
Yeah,
We
you
I
watch
just,
so
think
many
that-
old movies that I get confused about when shit came out, you know?
yeah.
I don't remember the first time that I saw this movie because I think I had already seen it or knew the ending maybe before I watched it with some of our OG Spooky Crew members when we were doing regular Spooky Tuesdays during the pandemic. I think though what's really well done is the heightened use of Tony Todd in this movie, because I think that throws you off because you are seeing him in the context of all the other times he's intervened and helped and tried to give advice, and he says to them at some point like, I've seen this before and have tried to do things before, and so you're thinking he means FD's 1 and 2, I guess just 1 and 2,
Mhm.
but it's not even, it's like all before
No.
that. So
He
he
already
tried
knew from before.
he went to the murder thing first and then was like, what if you saved people after that? After he introduced murder, he went, that sure didn't work.
I think that
Different
he
strategy.
was like, oh shit, there was that time when I told people to kill each other, and then they did.
And they did?
You think he's like
Yeah.
experimenting? There's like a checklist. He's like, well, that didn't work.
Let's try something else. There's 2 more that I want to reference, and one of them is really funny, but I'll save that one for a second. The other one is the gymnast hall, all the banners in the back of the wall for all, like, you know, the different championships that the gymnastics team had won in the past. They were like 1990, 1992, 1994, 1998, and they don't go past 1998. So that was another one too. I found that one on a chat room, and then I checked it out, and it's true. And the other one that I thought was so funny in the funeral scene, when Dennis the Menace is up there saying that Isaac died and he did not die, and Olivia is making fun of him, Nathan turns around and says, "I see dead people," which is a reference to The Sixth Sense, and it says, Sixth Sense was a movie that came out around that time, and so that was a hint. People say that shit all the time through to 2011, so that was a really good one to use. But at the time, that movie had just come out. I thought that was hilarious.
That's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
funny.
I think they have a lot of fun in this movie, and I think it really pays off.
Yeah,
And while I think that's like the perfect end to the franchise, I also think it's funny that the Nathan thing is just like tagged on as like a little sticker at the end, where they're just
they
like,
gotta tie up their loose ends. Like, yeah, he had like a bursting like aorta.
he was gonna die literally any day, and then the ceiling just falls in. That's one where I think it's really fun
funny.
for the infrastructure to just collapse, because that one is so like at any day, any moment. That's the brick falling on Alex's head off screen mentioned in FD2. You know what I mean?
Yes. Also, I just want to say that they did a really good job of like, I don't even know how they did it, but like flipping the perspective of how you see Alex have his premonition in FD1. Like when Sam and Molly are actually on the plane and he hears dust in the wind and all these he cuts his finger, all these little things start happening. The reveal with the ticket that says the date of the flight and you realize it's 2000. For me, that went right over my head though, because I was like, I don't know what date anything is. I have no idea. I can't read fast enough to have read that date. I just saw 180 and I was like, oh fuck. But yeah, it did say whatever the date was. I don't know, May 13th,
May 13th,
2000.
2000. Mhm.
Oh, I knew it. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
cool.
stuck with you.
Awesome. But like when they show it, it's just so like it didn't look shitty. It looked really good. Like it looked like they were there on the plane. It looked like the same quality and everything. And it was so
It
quick.
looked better quality than it did in FD1, which was really incredible. This movie was released in IMAX.
Handy
Yeah.
dandy notebook time.
Oh, go.
Those with Devon Sawa and all them, those were actually unused. It was unused footage because they couldn't get Devon Sawa back. They
Oh.
have the same extras in the background, but if you watch the where the actors are giving their commentary, the guy who plays Sam is like, "Oh yeah, we just reshot it. It's all reshoots." But they couldn't even get Devon Sawa for number 2, and the extras are all the same, and they're all the same age. So I have questions. I need answers.
Hmm.
Huh.
Hmm.
Two different perspectives on it. Interesting. Well, it looked really fucking good. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it rules. It rules.
It fucking rocked my world. It rocked my world. I sent Sydney and Chelsea a list of absolutely incoherent all caps text messages
With
that
some
were all
great
supposed to say-
accompanying photos as well.
Oh yeah. They'll be on social. I just like I do this thing where when there's an ending of a movie that makes my jaw literally drop, I just keep my face exactly how it was, and I grab my phone and I take a picture of what I look like,
Snap
and
a
then I
little
send it to them.
Sydney,
like-
what was your experience watching this ending for the first time? Did you know?
I-
Had you been spoiled?
Okay, so I definitely saw the opening scene of this movie, but I hadn't
Okay.
seen the end. And so I was like, I watched this movie at like 2 a.m. last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I woke up all 4 of my pets from screaming. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep.
Your
Go
sweet
back
little
to sleep,
babies.
Sweet babies.
Spencer's children or siblings.
Siblings. I'm a single mother of 5 now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a thing why I think Molly dies, basically.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
they're on the
Tell us
plane.
the theory.
Okay. I found this on the internet and it blew my mind. Okay. So because Sam survived when like Sam got off the bus with everybody, Molly is gonna die because if Sam hadn't gotten off the bus, then Peter wouldn't have been alive to try to kill Molly, causing her to cheat death, and she would have survived and like lived a normal life. Basically, like,
What?
I'm not following.
okay.
I'm not following.
So in Sam's premonition, right? He sees Molly and she survives.
Uh-huh.
But
Or at least
because-
dies after him.
Well, no, I think she actually would survive.
Would have survived. Oh,
But
because
yeah,
she's far
how-
enough. Sure.
Yes, but because they all got off the bus, she is now going to die because it's like the whole timeline like shifted, and because like Peter would have been dead, Sam would have been dead. She would have never gotten on that plane because she would have had no reason to go to Paris. So I think that basically the reason that the plane blew up was they were going after Molly. Does that make sense?
So Molly
Yeah.
kills Sam unintentionally.
I mean, it
I don't
kind
get
of
it.
makes sense, but I am more inclined to think that it's kind of like the bus coming at them at the end of FD4, the subway disaster at the end of FD3. Like, you can cheat death to a degree, but only for so long. So I'm more inclined to think that it's related to Sam being on the plane than Molly being on the plane.
I don't know. I think because like, and then it goes into like more being like, if they hadn't got on the plane, none of the people from the first movie would have died. And then none of the people from the second movie would have died
And
because
just all on and
Well,
on.
I like that theory. That makes sense to me. Like the fact that he was still alive, like fate came to get him when he was on that plane. And then just like because death was fucking with that plane, that's how Devin saw Alex had that vision, because like the energy spooky wind went into his head. I don't know. But that makes sense to me. And I like that this is the domino that started the whole effect.
But I still think that Tony Todd could have been right and killing somebody, because we then find out with Nathan that Roy, the union rep, was going to die anyways. So like he technically didn't cheat death by him dying.
He stole like 2 hours.
Yeah, but it just didn't buy him a lot of time.
Exactly.
Well, I think there's like no proof. I think that the killing someone thing isn't a real rule, and it doesn't actually work.
So you're calling Tony Todd a liar?
No, I think
I like
rules
the killing.
work.
I like the killing people thing. It makes it more.
I like it. I just don't think that it worked, because he killed Peter.
Here's the thing: everybody dies eventually. So, except for, I guess, what's her face and what's his face from FD2, but that's kind of just a loophole that they never closed.
I think they died at some point.
There was that whole special feature, in FD3 where they were gonna reveal that they died in that wood chipper accident but they didn't make it into the final cut.
Well, they were also going to kill them. They were also going to kill them in the end of FD3 when they go onto the subway. They were going to go on the subway and have them all die there, which would have slapped.
They're dead. Like, they're not alive. They're dead.
We don't know how, but we know they're not breathing.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I buy the Molly thing, but I like hearing about it, and it makes me excited, and it made my brain go, what? And now it hurts a little bit. So thank you for making me think hard. And send me that link so I can read it into it more. But what I think is the stealthiest thing of this whole stealth prequel is that they did all of this just so they wouldn't look like they were a fucking idiot for naming the fourth one the Final Destination. It still is. That was the whole reason they made this a stealth prequel. They're like, fuck, we already closed the book with the shittiest movie in the franchise. I guess we'll just have to do a stealth prequel.
And the sixth one can be a stealth prequel as well, because Tony Todd was like, I've seen it.
Exactly. I think that's something really fun too. That's one of my ideas. I think he explicitly says he's already done this before. So there's infinity room for even more prequels. You could get a Tony Todd Spooky Death origin story as well. Like how maybe he was involved in one of these and he's the survivor of one of them. And then he became the coroner and he just became besties with Death. And so Death was like, you're chill. You can hang out for a while. But there's also so much room to like loop it into the other movies now, because if we establish that Sam or Molly, whoever's presence on the Flight 180 plane to Paris is what sets off that disaster, you have any survivors from a new FD6 opening scene they're driving on the freeway in FD2. You know what I mean? One of them is the log truck driver. Like one of them is the roller coaster operator or something. Like you can keep like linking it in. I think it might get a little tired since they've already done it, but I also think it's so fun that maybe they should just keep doing it over and over.
I'd be happy if they did it. I'd be happy if they were also like, a new disaster has occurred and has nothing to do with anything. Because I think that Death is a fucking bitch and it will do this shit again. Well, let's get into our segments then, because like I could talk about this forever, but I do need to know how this movie could have been gayer.
I've got it right here.
Let me know. Lay it out.
Reshoot the whole end. From the moment Peter walks in there. From the moment Peter walks into the restaurant, rest of that movie's gone. New movie. Y'all have seen Up, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh God, what the fuck?
Peter pulls out the piece. Molly, you gotta go because I love Sam. Bam. And then it's the opening to Up. And then it's the opening to Up. You know, with the piano music and they're all hanging out. And then when the piano
gets love story.
when the piano gets slow, they're holding hands on the plane, and then Devin Sawa's getting drug out. Then they look at each other, roll credits. Done. That's all you need.
I love you.
I'm so glad that I told you to prepare for this. Thank you so much.
I have had this prepared since you were like, do you want to come on? This is what my podcast. I watched it. I'm like, well, I'm going to have this prepared.
Oh,
I've had
wow,
this in the tank for months.
you really are your mother's son, you know?
You know, I'm so glad that I mentioned the whole Pixar 3D thing earlier, because Up was very much the movie I was thinking of.
When you said it, I was like,
Hold it in. Hold it in.
and y'all were like, oh, Peter, now's not the time. You're ruining a romantic moment. No, he was making one.
Wow.
was
Wow.
making
You're
one.
right. You're right. I'm so sorry. How could I have been so daft?
What a great
Anti-Molly.
pitch.
We
Team
don't have
Peter.
the vision, you know? We
Mhm.
I
just
told
don't
you
have
from
the vision.
From the top, I'm Team Peter.
Oh,
Wow.
you sure
Oh
did.
my
And I went,
God.
huh? But now I
Problematic.
see.
The foreshadowing.
Look,
The foreshadowing.
If he did it for love, we can
Fine.
excuse a little murder.
Look at those eyebrows. Can you blame him? He's got to do what he's got to do.
No wonder he's fucking a 22-year-old intern. You know what I mean? He's just following the route of toxic masculinity until life comes crashing into him, forces him to really reckon with who he is and what he wants.
And why is he
Wow,
so
yeah.
against Molly the whole time? It doesn't make
You're
sense.
so right. You're so
I've been
right.
dropping little sprinkles, little Hansel and Gretel
crumbs.
sprinkles.
Okay.
Wow.
This is wow. Great foreshadowing for your own twist ending. I
For
love
my
it.
own
Wow, there's
changed up
foreshadowing
ending.
within the podcast episode. Is this meta? I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say after that. That was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, FD4 is definitely the straightest, but this one is pretty straight too.
Pretty straight. Even though I
Um,
have gay feelings about Olivia, but
yes.
that's
Oh,
again
Olivia
doesn't
can
really
be
cut
gay.
it.
But
Yeah,
she
yeah,
can
I
be,
feel
she
that.
does strip in front of Candace.
She's a chaos
Um,
bisexual for sure.
Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Other than that, everybody's pretty straight.
She's got that same like raven-haired look that a lot of women have, that bewitch me body and soul. So I was like, oh my god.
Nathan could have. We don't see any love interests for Nathan. You know what I mean? Nathan could have had a boyfriend.
A lot of
I could see
tension
that.
between him and Roy.
Some of it,
Mhm.
perhaps
And that's why he was so
sexual.
fucked up, because he killed his secret love, who he had a hate fuck relationship with. Oh my god. Poor Nathan. He's seen so much.
Poor Nathan. Also, Dennis, I feel like could be gay.
I think Dennis is absolutely gay.
Todd Packer.
I like that. That works for me. I'll co-sign.
Isaac though does not get to be gay. Isaac is a
No,
straight.
he's not in the community. He's not in the community.
No, he's literally the worst. So he can be a straight man.
Send him to straight jail.
Exactly.
Mhm. Then that brings us to, where would Maddie Lily fit into this film? I don't have any immediate ideas. Did you prepare for this one too, Spencer?
I want him to
Of
be
course.
Sam.
Oh,
Okay. He's the protagonist. Down. I liked that actor though, and I liked that his hair started out really bad and then it got good throughout, and I thought that was great character growth.
I want him as Roy.
Oh.
Okay.
And instead of going through the head, through the chest, he's feeling woozy. He's feeling woozy. And I feel like he does best as like not an antagonist, but like a semi like, I'm different than you guys, but I'm still here. I feel like that's where
Yeah.
he fits in.
I feel like he could be stirring up trouble like Roy was.
A little mischievous.
Mhm.
He also could have been a great Dennis.
yeah. I mean, he would have killed it as
Yeah.
Dennis for sure. But also,
Yeah,
Todd
he would've
Packer is
been
so
a
funny in that
love.
role. Yeah.
Yes.
I love Dennis as he stands.
He could have been the head chef in the restaurant where Sam works, who comes over and tastes his beef bourguignon and says, "The customer is an asshole. This is perfect."
Oh, I loved that part. I loved all the chef parts. I wish he could have gone to Paris and lived out his chef life. It's very sad.
He seems like he
tragic.
was good at it.
But instead, he
That's
burned up.
maybe he was so good that he was able to work a limited schedule compared to all of the other line cooks, and that's how he could hold down corporate America job and culinary job.
I
Understandable.
don't know. And he looks cute in the little cap too.
He
Just
did look
saying.
cute in the little cap. Anyway, those are lots of good placements, though. Lots of good
Those are
options for Maddie
beautiful.
Lily.
Those are beautiful options. Who is the dumb bitch of this movie?
Yeah, I think here's the one who actively decides, other than perhaps maybe in the spontaneous spur of the moment, Nathan style. Peter is doing full what's it called?
Premeditated
Yeah,
murder.
exactly. That's the
First
one.
degree murder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's malice involved.
He's earning a life sentence.
Also, Isaac gets a nomination as well.
for
I-
just
I'd
being
like-
a
fuck
dumb
that
bitch in
guy.
general. Yeah.
I'd like to nominate the doctor.
Oh,
First off,
he did leave.
come prepared, bring your files. Second off, don't leave your patient with her eyes sticking out. Third off, turn off the machinery. You're wasting electricity. Think of the bill.
mhm.
And I mean,
Thank you.
I'd like to put him on the block.
He's a
Okay.
good one. He's a good
That's a
one.
good nomination.
Also, whoever cleans up the gym,
Mm.
I feel like you should keep, or the coach of the gymnastics team, you should keep an eye out for the equipment.
Maybe
Sure.
let's not use a electrical device that all of the like protective stripping has been ripped off very obviously so everyone can see. Not that electricity is what ended it in the end, but that it still was very dangerous. We
Yes.
shouldn't be
It was
having
very
that.
stressful for us.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate though is either Peter or Isaac for me, but I'm down to let it lie as a tie.
I'm sold on the Peter as romantic hero journey, and so I'd like to give it to Isaac, I think.
Isaac
Perfect. I
deserves
hated
it.
him more. I hated him.
Yeah.
more.
Isaac
Isaac is
deserves
the
it.
worst.
When it
That's so
comes
bad.
to dumb bitch vibes being vibes based, he wins.
Toxic vibe, rancid vibes. As they
Rancid.
say.
Rancid.
That brings us to our knives out of 5. So, Chelsea, I've heard that this might be the most well received of the Final Destination movies. Is that true?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. I pulled up my notes for all of the other ones so I could compare. This movie got a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, which is like, I think, pretty middle of the road compared to the other 4. But what's really interesting is the first one from critics. This is from critics right now. The first one got 35% rotten. The second one got 48% rotten. The third one got 44% rotten. And the fourth one got 27% rotten. But this one was very well received by critics. It got 62%, which is fresh. The only
Oh,
one
nice.
deemed fresh by critics. However, the first one from audiences got 68% fresh. The second one got 58%, which is rotten. The third one got 57%, which is rotten. And the fourth one did get 35%, which is the lowest. But the fifth one
does
got
suck.
52%. So other than Final Destination 4, the Final Destination, this one has the lowest audience rating, but it's got the highest critics rating, which I just think is interesting. I think critics liked what they did with the end. I think critics appreciated the looping it back
was
around
smart.
prequel aspect of it. Yeah. And I don't know why audiences didn't love that because I fucking love it so much.
They weren't eagle-eyed. They
They-
weren't paying attention.
They felt duped, perhaps. Maybe it made them feel dumb for not picking it up. But I say let a film surprise you. It's not like they hid anything from you. You know what I mean? Like the signs were there if you're really paying attention. It's not like it's the kind of twist where they were lying to you ahead of time. They just didn't spell it out for you.
It was beautiful. It was the perfect twist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like people come to the Final Destination movies, some of them, like without seeing any of the other ones before, and they just want a death fest on
Mm.
screen. And so they're probably like, I don't fucking care. I don't get it. So that could have been that. Like me when I watched Annabelle Creation and it got to the end and I was like, I don't fucking care. What's this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Spencer, or do you want us to set the scene for you?
Y'all set the pace because I don't want to blow the scale.
We can tuck you
Okay.
somewhere in the middle, maybe, if you'd like.
Just
Okay.
tuck me in. Tuck me in.
Jump in when you feel so moved.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'll go first. I think this film is so fun. I think it's such a hallmark of the Final Destination franchise, way that it, the credits kind of build on the credits from FD4, which is fun. They're switching it up from the slow burn, spooky reveal ones. So they're in conversation with that. There's so many callbacks to other parts of the franchise. I have a bunch of them in my notes from IMDb trivia. But like, for example, the photo that Olivia has on her desk is taken from the roller coaster in FD3, where they went on like the Devil's Flight one. They have just like a bunch of little things like that sprinkled throughout. They always love to do the heist pale ale, which is fun because they start that in FD2 and then it's in FD3 and FD4. But there's like a lot of things like that. I think they just had on the bus ride in the beginning, you see like a log truck driving by. I just think they really had a blast putting this one together. Is it my favorite of the franchise? No. That is obviously FD3. We all know FD3 supremacy in this house. That said, the ending is, to me, the best possible way to wrap up this franchise. That's why I have questions about FD6. I'm kind of like, okay, what could they do? I've got some ideas. I'm happy to let them continue the franchise at this point. I think this to me will always be the best way I have ever seen to wrap up a franchise, and it's so perfect for Final Destination. So I'm willing to give this, I don't want to give it quite 5 knives out of 5s because I don't want it to be quite in league with FD3. But I think the ending for me makes up for any other complaints I might possibly have. It just like blows the film out of the water entirely. So I'm going to give it a 4.9 for that reason.
I'm right there with you. I'm also going to give this a 4.9 because I don't know. Like, at this late in a franchise, especially a franchise is as silly as Final Destination can be, I really was not expecting this to be this good. I know that y'all had been like hyping it sort of, but you did a great job of keeping me in the dark, which I really appreciate. I found out last night that Chelsea was protecting me from listener comments that might have spoiled it for me, and like DMing the people and like was like just like manipulating the situation so I wouldn't be spoiled by these comments, and I really appreciate that because it was like the most refreshing, exciting slap in the fucking face that I've ever had at this point in the film. That ending, it was so good. And I don't know, it's a tired trope at this point. Everything in Final Destination, like 4, hilarious, we had a fun time, but it was stupid and bad at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it had gotten to a point where it was played out, and this one, they just did a better job at everything. Like, the characters had a little bit of stuff going on with them. You had the comic relief, but it was darker, and it had this whole murder aspect. It had 2 sexy cameos by Tony Todd with a sexy earring, okay? And he whistles. I love whistling, okay? This is just a little side note for me. I don't know. It had like everything that I could have wanted. It was awesome, and it was really scary. Like, I was really fucking freaked out. It hit me in all of my special places where I am filled with horror and very sad. No needles, please. No needles ever. This one had 40,000 needles.
Yeah,
Horrible.
the gymnastics and the LASIK death scene, I think, are like on par with the other best deaths of the franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
say that the gymnastics one like did that formula the best, and I'm right there with them. Like, that was like A+, A-star. I don't know. I had a fucking blast. I had a great time, and 4.9. It was amazing.
I loved this movie. I had such a great time. It's not my favorite. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I think if I had to rank my Final Destination one, obviously 3
Mm-hmm.
And then I think this one, and then the first one. The first one has a better plot and all that kind of stuff because it's really setting everything up.
Yeah.
But this one, I think more Tony Todd, and then
Important.
the end and the deaths, I think, put this one over the first one.
And the slasher twist.
Exactly.
The
And
slasher
then
twist.
the second one, and the opening is just like so good too.
Yeah.
And then the second one, and then the fourth one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think mine's
I agree.
3, 1, 5, 2, 4, but like similar. And it's a toss up.
Right? Like 5 and 1 can be interchanged depending on my mood. But like
totally.
I am ready to become the bad guy. We've
Oh,
gotten
no.
along so well.
No.
I'm glad you guys have invited me here. But I would like to give this movie a 4.1.
That's fine.
Why does that make
That's
you
not
a
why I'm the
bad
bad guy.
Oh, what's coming next?
I would rank them.
Oh, he's gonna shit on FD3.
I like FD3, but I think 1 and 5 are better.
That's fine.
That's fair.
Do you like Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
I do, but I like Devon Sawa better.
Oh, that's fine, I guess.
And I think the biggest problem I have with this one is that I really like practical effects. So when and I know it's 2011, and CGI is the thing. I still think there's too much of it, and I think that it's just a product of its time.
Totally.
But it's got the best ending. I think y'all are all correct. It's just the perfect bookend. I have no idea where 6 is going to fit in because,
exactly.
It feels like tied up with a perfect bow.
Exactly. I was so mad when they first
also-
announced 6, but also having done Final Destination Summer, I'm like, it's so fun. Okay.
I never wanted to end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Keep it going.
Realistically, like if you just have this one of the movies, none of them are on paper really, really good movies. They're just so much fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
They don't need to be good if they're
careful.
fun.
Exactly. But I'd give it a 4.1. Just the plot's there, the twist is amazing, characters are better than all of them. The CGI knocks it down for me.
No, I mean that part in the very opening scene where Sam gets sliced in half by that big old thing, and then his
And then
body
he
like
falls.
CGI like floats towards the screen, and it's really close up on his CGI face. I'm like, this looks so fucking fake. Oh my god, that was a 3D thing with his big face coming into your face.
We were
Hate
supposed
that.
to 3D
Hate
travel through him into the present.
Hate it more. Hate it more. Oh my god, well that is the end of Final Destination Summer.
No, Final Destination Summer forever.
Forever. We're
It's
just
the
gonna
end of
start it
summer.
over again next month, and every last week of the month for the rest of the podcast we'll recycle these
Maybe
movies.
this is your death premonition and we're going to go back to the start of the summer.
I mean, put FD3 on this Spooky Take Tuesday list.
Okay, yeah, that for sure. And we do have the FD6 coming. In whatever form it may be, we will have a blast in some way, shape, or form, and we'll get to see it in theaters.
Oh,
In
that'll
3D?
be fun.
That's
Fun.
gonna
Oh my god,
slap.
it better be.
That
in
will
3D.
be-
Bring back 3D.
We'll see. I'll be curious. But yeah,
Imagine
it's
they
the
bring back
end.
3D.
It's the end of the summer season. It's the end of the second season of Spooky Tuesday.
But do you know what season it is? It is the season of the witch.
The season of the witch. Oh my god, we're starting it out with something really good. Tell them, Sydney.
We are starting season 3, kicking off spooky season with Halloween 3. We have decided to say fuck Halloween 2 because Halloween 3 is a standalone movie, baby.
Yeah. I've never fucking seen this in my life.
Yeah, I've only seen the original Halloween, which we used to start spooky season at the end of April. So I think it only makes sense that to really welcome it in, now that everyone in the world is on our spooky page, that we use another Halloween movie to do it. And I sure am curious to see what a Michael Myers list Halloween movie looks like.
It's different.
Oh, okay.
It's different. From what I've heard, it was critically reviled at first and people fucking hated it, and now people like it a lot. And usually when that's the case, I like it a lot. So I have high hopes.
I think we're gonna have a good spooky time.
So it's about to get Halloween into hyperdrive in more ways than one. I'm so excited for our lineup for October, but no spoilers. And so excited for a whole new spooky season of Spooky Tuesday. Season 3, baby, let's go. So it's a great opportunity. It's a transition time for us. You just heard me cry, weep openly on the podcast and say how I'm so sad that Final Destination Summer is over. Why not console me by giving me a 5-star review, giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? That's the only thing that will heal this rupture in my soul without Final Destination Summer. So
Monica
please,
needs this, you guys.
I
really
need this.
does.
I'm asking for help. And
I
why not
am coming to you.
I'm coming to you. And why not seal the deal by following us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. We also have a YouTube, but more importantly, Spencer, would you like to plug your socials? Because thank you so much for coming on the episode today. You fucking killed it. And I love that you're now part of the spooky family as Sydney's son.
Thanks, guys. But you don't have to follow me because death is chasing me after
Sure.
escaping the racetrack. So
Oh
I'm
yeah, you
probably-
said you were
go
gonna
where
die at
he's
the end
yeah,
of this
I'm dead at the
episode.
end of this episode. Like I feel the wind.
Don't
Oh my
follow
God,
him.
it's your
it will
final
only be
moment.
sad as they turn it into the memorial page.
So sad. So sad. You can write. You
Rip.
did a really good job on that one episode of that one podcast. And that would be a really nice in memoriam.
Put that
What a
on the
way to go out.
tombstone
Yeah.
and bury
But
me with
here-
all of my things like a pharaoh.
But here's the thing. You want to know what the last words that he's gonna hear are? Bye, spookies.
I don't make the rules. I just clean up after the game is over.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.